Book 223. Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Motivation with Matthew Daniels, and today I'm going to tell you guys about the Negro slave turned serial killer. That's right, the Negro slave turned serial killer. But what is Matthew Daniels talking about? A long time ago, on the slave plantations in the southern United States, many Negroes rose up and committed thousands of acts of heroism and bravery. The vast majority of these acts have never been written down, and they have never been spoken of in front of the general public, so only those close to the events are aware of what really happened. One of my ancestors, no less, passed down a story to me directly from mouth to ear about a Negro slave who would quite possibly be known as a serial killer by today's definitions and standards. However, this Negro man was a hero to his people and a man of unlimited bravery, intelligence, and heart. This Negro man was named Thomas, and he was born in Georgia to a mother he never met. When he was still a baby, suckling at his mother's breast, the wicked slave master who owned his mother sold him off to a plantation in Alabama. Thomas was born with a natural inclination to want to be free, and it is said that even as a youth, he would often talk to others about ways to get free. One day, when Thomas was around 17 years old, he had grown tired of being a slave and determined that he would gain his freedom at all costs. Waiting until nighttime fell over the land, Thomas crept out of the slave quarters and ran off into the woods. An old woman had shown him how to follow the North Star in order to reach freedom, and that was the only direction he had. Thomas ran and ran for 2 hours straight until he came upon 2 white men out traveling on the road. He tried to hide in the tall grass, but they heard him moving and came over to investigate. When the 3 of them made eye contact with each other, the adrenaline kicked in and Thomas sprung on them in a fit of rage. The 2 men tried to subdue him, but they could not. Thomas punched one of them so hard the man fell down unconscious. Then he grabbed the other man in a chokehold and held him tight. After a minute or 2, his body fell limp and his soul left his body. Thomas, still operating in pure survival mode, picked up a log and bashed the other man's head in. Covered in blood and sweat, Thomas turned back and returned to his plantation and told the elders what he had done. They cleaned him up and told him not to worry because he did what he had to do. Thomas stayed on the plantation for several days after that, but he could not stop dreaming and fantasizing about what he had done. He felt strong and he felt righteous for killing those men, and in fact, he desired to kill more. One night, being unable to fight off these new urges, he crept away from the slave quarters once again and ran off into the woods. This time, he was not trying to escape. He was hunting for white men who were out after dark. Seeing a man and woman walking along the road, Thomas sprung upon them with a hatchet in his hand and made quick work of the white man. The woman screamed loudly, but she did not run. She was frozen with fear. And so, Thomas took the hatchet to her head after dispensing with the white man. Then, he ran back to his plantation and told the elders what he had done. Word spread amongst the slaves, and they started to say that Thomas was the arm of God and the angel of death. And they told him that God was protecting him as he avenged his people who were enslaved. Being energized by this and slowly beginning to think his killings were a divine mission, every couple of months, Thomas would leave the slave quarters in the middle of the night and hunt white people who were out after dark. In all, I was told that Thomas killed at least 135 people, but in truth, the number could be quite higher. No one knows what happened to Thomas because one night when he left to go hunt, he never returned. Some say he was captured and killed. Some say he continued on and escaped to the north. And some say that God came and rewarded Thomas for his valiant efforts by taking him directly to heaven without him ever suffering the shame of a humanly death. If you ask me, I say that Thomas was taken to heaven by God. But in truth, what do I know? I am only the storyteller telling his story. And so, the morning motivation of today is the Negro slave turned serial killer. The concept of good and evil has been debated since the beginning of time itself. You will always have those who call evil good, and they will call those who fight against their evil acts villains. However, it is always good and right to oppose wickedness, and it is always right to protect those who are oppressed. Today, defend someone who cannot defend themselves. Protect someone who cannot protect themselves. And as you do this, always strive to do that which is good. And remember, you are awesome, you are amazing, you are wonderful, and you are great. And you are going to change the world. I just hope I'm still alive to see it, family. I'm out. Good morning.